Hello, I am Minecraft Phenom 08, and this is episode 51 of my series in which I will try to collect 1 billion iron ingots. In today's episode, I will actually be crafting a new scrap factory due to the fact that my old scrap factory and my old nuclear complex is kind of built out. I am going to stop building onto this building, as I want to build some nuclear reactors, but I want to build them kind of away from my regular base, as they can kind of hit your frame rates kind of hard. And obviously, with me recording, if I don't have very good frame rates, the experience on your end will be kind of terrible. So I kind of want to build this away, and I have an area waiting for me. So let's run this way and see what I have cooked up. Currently, my building is it's fairly big, and it holds 128 nuclear reactors. But this one right here should be able to hold quite a bit more. It has quite a large area on each floor, and it has a full basement. And this basement will be used for pretty much the same thing as my old basement is, and that is a scrap factory. Now the first thing I need to do for a scrap factory is I actually need to dig down 2 levels so that I can put RF conduit down, and then I can put my industrial foregoing blocks to make stone, and I forget what they're called. Stoneworks factory, I think, is what they're called. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to dig down 2, and I'm going to dig out a large area, and I will be back in just a little bit. Okay, now we have a nice big hole in the ground. I need to plot out where everything's going to be. And okay, so what we're going to do is actually I should get a recycler. I should get 2 recyclers and a reactor so that you can see how I've decided to plot this out. What will happen will be, okay, I will have a recycler here. I will have a reactor between the first recycler and between the second recycler. So each reactor will actually power 2 recyclers, and this is completely by design. I won't have to have any kind of conduit for this, for the Industrialcraft power. It'll just be pretty much straight up. A nuclear reactor will power 2 recyclers on either side. So what we need is stoneworks factories here and here, and then here and here, and here and here, here and here. And that will be the way of it all the way down. And for our nuclear reactors, we will need 2 different things. But on the bottom, we are going to have transfer pipe, I think is what it's called. We should probably craft a bunch of this stuff up. And yeah. And the transfer pipe will run underneath, and then on top of the nuclear reactor, we will have a redstone signal. And this is going to be kind of a pain, it looks like. I don't think that this can accept anything in. Let me see here. I don't think it can accept anything in, so I don't think it'll be a problem. But hopefully I'm correct about that, because that could be kind of a pain. Because I don't want nuclear fuel rods or anything to go into my stoneworks factories. So the next thing I need to do is I need to grab a bunch of flux duct, because we're going to need a bunch of this stuff. And I've got a bunch crafting right now. I don't think I have enough. And this should be pretty simple. I can just run this across like so. And actually, I think over here is where we're going to run it across the bottom. I do have a tunnel outside, just like the rest of my streets. And I do have some conduit out here. I also have a wireless access point right here, because my old one could not reach out this far with my wireless terminal. So now I have access to my network out here. I also have power out here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run this, and we can actually run it out the side kind of. I'm probably gonna have a bunch of sand fall on my head here in a second. That's okay. And then this will be, yep, dang, almost made it. Oh no, need to go one down. And that should be out into the street. Let's see here. And then I can run this down like so. Actually needs to be one further down. And that is perfect. I am going to have to monitor my power situation because after installing all this, I'm going to use quite a bit more redstone flux per tick. So, like I said, I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. I need this. I need one sand. I didn't grab any sand. Shoot. And I need some stone. So let's cover this up for right now. And let's go outside. Oh shoot, I don't have an elevator set up there. There's supposed to be an elevator up there. So let's just... And then we can get rid of some of this stuff. I put that one too low. Oh well. We can fix that. Let's see here. There we go. That's better. And then plug it in like that. That is exactly how I want that. Cool. Now let's run back down here. We should have power to these guys. Let's run a bunch of cable. And let's see if we're getting power. Nope. Okay, we are. Now, yeah, we don't actually have to do anything for these guys because they're just going to be making cobblestone. We will have to put in speed upgrades, my bad. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to lay a bunch of conduit across, like so, just to where all these stoneworks factories are going to be. And I'm going to be back after I have a bunch of that laid down. Okay, finally I have all my flux duct laid down. I had to wait a little bit to for some of it to craft. Now the next thing I need to do is I need to place down material stonework factories on top of all these flux duct that I have here. But before I can really start on that, I need to build some upgrades. And unfortunately for me, right now, I don't have what I need. So, and I need, by my calculations, I'm going to have 208 of these things as right here. So I need 208 upgrades of each tier. And so that means I need to build 184 of these guys. And I don't have the paper for that right now. So I'm going to have to go make paper and... Or not paper, but I need to make sugar cane. Oh shoot, I forgot. There's no elevator up here. So I'm going to go off camera for a little... Or actually, I don't know that I've ever shown how I make sugar cane on camera. So I'm going to do that real quick. It's a pretty simple process. I use my phytogenic isolator. Wrong building. Whoops. That I have down here. And I can't automatically do that, unfortunately, as I have it set up right now. What I do is I take some phytogrow. And I take sugarcane. And this gives me more sugarcane. So I'm going to be back in a little bit. I got to craft up a bunch of sugarcane. And I'm going to make the upgrades. And then once I have all of that, I will be back to install everything. And here we are. I have all of my upgrades. So I just need to slot in one of each of these upgrades into these guys right here, and then I can lay the rest of these down. I actually just had to do that just because there was no way to access them once I get the rest of these put down. So what I'm gonna do now is, and I can do most of this next part off camera, is I just need to lay down all of these guys, and then I need to slot in one of each upgrade into each one. And there, like I said, there's 208 of these guys, so it's gonna take a little bit. I will be back after all of that is finally done. Finally, now that I have all of these guys set up, the next thing I want to do is I want to wind my transfer pipe around, and I want it to be in a straight line so that my transfer and retrieval nodes will work as well as they possibly can. If you have like a branching line on these transfer pipes here, they don't tend to work very well because it's just kind of random at any intersection as to which way the transfer node will go with its decision. So you want to keep your lines as straight as possible when setting up transfer pipes. So I'm just gonna wind this around, kind of like I did right there, and this will just be for the insertion and the extraction of the fuel rods and used fuel rods in the nuclear reactors. And so we need to go ahead and wrap this all the way around. And I actually need to set this up because I'm going to use more of this basement in the future, as in I'm going to expand the scrap factory. This building at some point is going to get just to be it's going to have a lot of reactors in it. It's going to be my crowning achievement in this series, quite possibly. So we need to make this to where I can expand it in the future. So I need to be kind of careful how I lay this out so that I can use up more of the space that I haven't kind of earmarked yet. And this will go around like so. And then, let's see, how do I want to do this exactly? Should I keep digging? Part of me wants to keep digging, but the other part of me says that'll be ugly. And what we can do is just kind of plot out exactly. So this will be... I'm just going to plot it out. And I need to make sure to be accurate with this. Okay, so this will be one end. It'll come across right here. And then I think this will be the last line. Then it'll come across right here. And in this wall here, I can have my little... No, I can't. Okay, I think actually we can have it out here though. So let's fill in this hole. Put up this torch. And get a loop around. Come back this way. And then the final branch will be right here with the reactors in this block and the recyclers here. So there won't be a whole lot of room over here, but that's okay. What we can do is there will be reactors on top, so I can't really do that. Shoot. What I can do is cut this. I don't want to do that either. That'll look bad. What can I do? You know what? Let's go ahead and do this. In this wall, we're going to have a little room. I said break. And let's tidy this up. How do I think I'm gonna make this room like inaccessible once I seal it up, because otherwise it's just gonna be a mess. So if I do it this way, it can be a mess and I won't care. So I need to grab some more flux duct because I am rewriting this a little bit. So here's what we're gonna do. Flux duct will be back here. I need an IMI interface, let's say right here. Okay, how exactly do I want to set this up? Pipe will be down here. So the pipe will be incoming. Actually, I want one back. That way we can do something like this. The transfer node can be like on top and the retrieval node can be on the side. Unfortunately, my line kind of ends over here right now. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run this across. It's going to look kind of terrible for right now, but that's okay. Eventually, it will be covered and no one will care. So for right now, our path can be like this. And then we can, instead of cutting across and cutting back across, we can just cut it over like so. And there we have our straight line completely through our system. And we can go ahead and cover this up over here. And this up over here. All these holes in the wall, essentially. I can't cover up that hole in the floor, though. That'll have to be there until I expand the system, but that's okay. And then I need a couple things. I need a retrieval node, a transfer node, filters. I need 2 filters. And we can go ahead and set these guys up for whitelist and cobblestone. I only need 1 filter. I don't know why I grabbed 2. I did this last time too. I need a stack upgrade. I'm going to say A, I need 2. And some speed upgrades as well. And they both can only hold 4, so. Transfer node goes one spot, and then the retrieval node goes in the other. Like so. This needs the filter for right now. Stack upgrade and speed upgrade. And then for this, actually what we need right now is a redstone block. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that right there. And that stops this retrieval node from working. Okay, I do see a problem here. I'm gonna have to wrench off all these connections because it will be extracting cobblestone from these things, and I do not want that. Actually, I can go ahead and fix that. I'm a moron. I have a filter here, and I'm whitelisting cobblestone. There, whitelist that. Let's see, does it work? If I take that away, it should start doing its thing, and it should not be pulling anything out. Cool. Actually, to be honest, I'm going to go ahead and wrench off these connections anyways. Just to be a little bit safe here with my fuel rods, because I wouldn't think the fuel rods would be able to be inserted into these things, but you never know. So I'm going to wrench off all these connections real fast, and then I will be right back. And now the next step in this design, now that I have all the transfer pipes wrenched, is I need to set up a bunch of recyclers, and I need 206 of them, I believe. And I know I have more than 206 right there, so let's go ahead, and these just need to be on top of the industrial stoneworks factories, and I can go ahead and do this all off camera. I knew that was going to happen. So I will be back here in just a little bit. And here we are with all of our recyclers placed down. Now these recyclers need a number of upgrades. They all need, I actually think they actually only need 2 transformer upgrades per recycler, but I'm going to go ahead and put in 3 just to be safe. Actually, I think I do need 3 now that I'm kind of going over it in my mind. I need pulling upgrades, because that is the mechanism in which they will pull the cobblestone out of the stoneworks factories beneath them. They will use pulling upgrades for that. And so to set up these, as you can see, I already have some of them set up to automatically input from the bottom side. You shift and you right click on a block on its the side that you want to pull out of. So we want to pull out the bottom side, so we just shift click on any old block on the bottom side of said block. And now these are all set to pull out the bottom. We also need overclocker upgrades. I actually can't hold all the upgrades that I need to throw in these things right away. And we need some, so we need overclocking upgrades. Let's do that. And then we need energy. I'm actually not super sure that we need these guys, but I'm going to go ahead and put 4 in each one. How we are going to set up all of these guys is 3 of these, 1 of these, 9. It has to be exactly 9. And that is because, as you see, it says increase power to 687 or 6,871.95%, which would be essentially 6,900%, which would be, as a base, these recyclers use 1 EU per tick. So essentially each recycler will now use 69 EU per tick. And because each recycler will be set up, or 2 recyclers will be set up against a single nuclear reactor, the recyclers will demand, together they will demand 138, I think I'm doing that math right, 138 EU per tick. I will be setting my reactors up to run at 140 EU per tick. So that is practically perfect math. And then, like I said, so they'll all be set up like this. And this is going to take quite a while. So I'm going to go off camera and set all these things up real fast. And I will be back in a bit. And here we are. We have all of our recyclers set up how we need to have them set up. Now the next step is I need to place down my nuclear reactors. And that'll be a pretty easy step. They just simply go in between the recyclers, like I have this one. So I just need to place a bunch of nuclear reactors down real fast. And I will be right back after I have all of those placed down. The next step in this process will be to set up the redstone wiring, and that will be pretty easy. We just simply need to place a bunch of these guys on top of the reactors, and I actually need to not do that. I need to grab a hammer real fast. And right now, if we use the hammer, we can see all of these are in input mode. They need to be in output mode. So, and then after we do all that, we will string together our wire just by right-clicking on each of these, and we will wire these up like so. I think I'm going to go ahead and do all of this off camera. It's a pretty simple procedure. It's pretty much the same thing as I used on my other reactors in my other buildings. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I will be back after all that is done. And now that I have all the redstone connected to all my nuclear reactors, we need to add a mechanism to turn them on and off, and we'll just use a simple lever for that. And so we have a large portion of this set up. The next thing we need to do is we need some impulse item ducts. And we will need a lot more than just this. So let me get some crafting. And we also need a bunch of servos. So let me get that crafting. Before we go there, though, let's see if we have enough heat vents. Okay, looks like we have everything done here. We're gonna need a boatload of these, a boatload of these, and a boatload of these. So basically, how these reactors are going to be set up, I have a schematic that I created. There's actually an app that you can get for our phones, or even for the computer. It's called the IC2 Planner. And how we will have these reactors set up is we will have heat vents and this arrangement. And the remaining, actually, let me go ahead and get my scuba suit. Because I need to handle some fuel rods here. My scuba suit's kind of getting in disrepair. So now that I have this on, let me grab some fuel rods. And each reactor will use 7. So let's go ahead and grab some of these used ones. So I have 5, that'll be 7. And each reactor should be set up like so. And you can you probably noticed that instead of using the Mox fuel rods, I'm using regular fuel rods. And there are a few advantages here. First of all, they last twice as long, and even when you process the depleted ones, you get a bunch of uranium back. So that's desirable. And I already have a system set up to make these things, but as of right now, I'm not using any of them. But with this system, I should use a whole bunch of them. So yeah, that's where we're going with that. Let's see if my impulse item ducts are cranking up. They are. So what we're going to do now is we're not going to bother setting up the rest of the reactors because that's going to take a really long time, to be honest. What I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to set up the rest of the automation rather than completely finishing out this portion of it. Let's see. Do I have any servos? Sweet. I have a bunch of servos already. So let's go ahead and grab those. I don't think I'll need that many, but let's grab them just in case. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook all of these recyclers up, and we will, I think, hook them up like so. And they'll all be hooked up to each other. That's going to look terrible. You know what? I know what we can do here. We can do this. Make that look a little bit better. And we are going to hook why am I doing that? Durka. Yeah, that's how I want it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run this over. We're going to connect them up to a system to make the scrap into scrap boxes. But for right now, I can go ahead and do pretty much the rest of this off camera. We're just going to set this up pretty much like I have the old scrap factory. It'll be servos will be on every single one of these guys. And these impulse item ducts will run to crafters. So let me set up these impulse item ducts real fast, and then I will be back. Now that I have all the impulse item ducts set up over here, and I don't have all of them active yet, but I do have these two back here active, and that's because I'm going to turn this reactor on here soon. It's the only reactor that's actually set up at this point, but we can go ahead and build out the rest of the system and make sure it works. And what we're going to do next is we're going to put the crafters kind of in the middle of the room here. And that would be in these 6 spots right here. And then we need to do this. And let's lay down some signalum plated impulse item ducts. And that is because these... I need some regular flux duct, to be honest. I need to... Yes. These things need power, and we can just get that by tapping in over here. Actually, I need to do it one lower than that. But right here, we should be able to get power. So let's run outside real quick and run down here. And we need to run this across like so. And up. And we should have power to our crafters. Once we hook them up, actually. And we can do that like so. So let's go ahead and set up the rest of this. I need to put impulse item ducts here, and they need retrievers. These need to be whitelisted, and for right now, we're gonna set this. Let's do these as nearest first, and they will be always active. Whitelist, that's always active. And now we need to hook this system over here up to that system over there. And we can do that like so. And if we ever decide to expand the system this away, as in build stuff up here, we can kind of redo this a little bit. But for right now, I think I'm ready to see if this is gonna work. So I need to run over here, make sure that this is on. It is. We're not acquiring any temperature, and it looks like our heat vents are doing pretty well. These things should be making scrap. They are. Their buffer should be filling very slowly. Like I said, these two together should use about 138 EU per tick, whereas the reactor makes 140. So we're really on the line as far as having enough power, but we should have just enough to run these guys. Now we should have some scrap, and it should start to be coming over here. And we need to do the same thing with the scrap as we did in our old scrap factory, and that is make scrap boxes. Now we take these scrap boxes and we say whitelist scrap boxes. So it should start pulling in scrap boxes. So boom. And now we need to set the recipes for the rest of these guys. And then we should be good. And then between episodes, I can set up the rest of the reactors and the rest of the servos to be active. But for right now, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up the episode. I mean, we have a proof of concept that it's working. Actually, shit. I don't know. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I don't even need to change these servos because they are getting redstone. They are getting the redstone signal from these guys. So the servos are all active. I don't even have to switch their settings to ignored. Because if the system is on, then yeah. So that's cool. Looks like everything's working well over here. So, you know what? I think, and then between episodes, I also have to set this filter up. But that's not a problem. So, in today's episode, I managed to essentially build this beast. It's not 100% done yet. I have to format the nuclear reactors. I think at the beginning of the next episode, I can set up the filter system over here. It'll just take literally like a minute or two. So that's no big deal. And then, yeah, pretty happy with that. It's a rather large build, and it takes a lot of time to do. So I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out. It seems to be functioning pretty well, at least the small little portion that I have on. So as of right now, I have 11,900,000 iron ingots, which is a pretty decent improvement over last episode. We have run through a decent amount of our iron ore backlog, and that's nice to see, so I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, pretty happy with this episode. This is Minecraft Phenom 08, and I will see you next time.